So many things have happened recently, mostly with this UI, but also a little bit with the PSOC, with the hardware logic controller, the programmable system on a chip code, which is massively improved. I'm not having any of the problems I was having before with sticky keys. So now I've been practicing a lot, and then I had to improve this GUI quite a bit, and then I had to go back and improve the key mapping quite a bit. So it set me back in time, or that is to say, it set back my time performance. So I had to put in this little clock thing and the number of errors up here. I don't know if you can see where I'm tapping, but and I had to, I improve the font. I mean, I just had to, every time I come back here, I would try to improve it a little bit more. But so one of the things that happened is I'm typing from this glyph here, and I originally had this phrase. This phrase is the one that I probably had the best time on, which I think I got it down to 38 seconds, but it might have been a little faster than that. I have screen caps of it, of the fastest times, but I kind of felt like I was plateauing, and it's because each time I'm typing a character, I'm looking at this glyph here, or I added this total phrase down at the bottom, and I would have to look at those glyphs, and I'm going, this isn't really how I type when I type with my fingers. I don't read from a glyph, interpret it into a set of keystrokes, and then type and then execute those. So strange little things were happening in my brain. I could feel tiny little improvements happening in my brain. One was, as I'm looking at the glyphs on the bottom, so the bottom glyphs is a big improvement over just waiting for it to show up on the top. It is nice having it nice and big on the top, but because sometimes it's a little, particularly Q, that black bar right under the Q sometimes gets obscured. I think I skip it because it looks like it's part of the letter. Little things like that, where the top glyph is clearer, the bottom ones can be a little less clear. But the improvement on the bottom one is that while I am, I've finally moved on to, while I am finishing up typing one glyph, I'm already looking at the next glyph, and I have to do that. And in order to get any kind of speed going, you have to already be thinking about the next glyph. Otherwise, every time, between each character, I was having like a gap of my fingers aren't doing anything. So you have to cue, your brain has to have a little buffer in it where your hands are still executing the previous glyph, and you've got that loaded up in your hand buffer, but your eye buffer is already reading in the next glyph. It sounds like I'm talking about computers with these buffers, but it's real things in your real brain and your real hand that you can kind of feel. It's kind of interesting because of this very small environment. I can really sense, and by environment, I mean just I'm looking at a glyph, it's my hand. I don't have to look out at a board. I never look down at my Handex. I never have to take my eyes off of the screen when I'm typing, because I've designed the Handex in such a way that you never have to reposition your fingers, ever, ever, ever. You never have to reposition your fingers to type all the keys on a keyboard. Never have to reposition your fingers. That's a huge thing. So that this REPL is a very tight loop from my eyeball to my kind of hand buffer, to executing. So I made this REPL as tight as I could also. And, and it's paying off. So the glyphs on the bottom, that's an improvement. It took me a while to figure out, I need to see, I'll just show all these. Because these are actually down here. If I go to list all chords, you can actually see every character, every possible character. It's a bit scrunched because of the longer ones that are going to be a little down the road. I don't have to memorize Lang 3 very soon. So, or F23. I didn't even know there were that many F keys. Seems odd. But that's crazy. I never knew there was 23 F keys. But we're back up here, and so finally, as I'm waiting, I'm looking at this thing and I go, man, I wish I was thought about putting the next character over here, and I go, that's crazy, too much work. Just display the whole glyph down here. Just copy these, clone these nodes and put them into a div up here. And so that worked great. Then I did a setback because I said, I'm going to refactor these so that the Vim-oriented keys are easy to get to. And then I thought, well, how do you do that? Well, by making them the home row keys. So, all of the like ASDF keys and JKL semicolon I made those blue, but then I also made like word blue, E, and other, bookmark, in Vim, back, the other ones that I needed for easy navigation in Vim, I made those blue, and then I rearranged the layout, so I remapped them. So that set me back in time, or that is to say, that was a hit on my performance. I mean, it took a hit on so it set my performance, my speed back. So it set me back to like 120 seconds to type this phrase that I had been doing in about 38 seconds. So I had this phrase down to about 38 seconds when it was one glyph at a time. Then I spit all these out here and remapped them to Vim, and it set me back to about 120 seconds. But then I got that down to about 60 seconds with all the glyphs down here remapped to Vim. So then I said, this isn't really going to work until I memorize the keys. Like having them down here, it's still too slow. I'm still going and reading each one. And when I type on a keyboard, because what I'm comparing this to is my 10 or 12 seconds of typing this phrase on a keyboard, on my own laptop keyboard, 10 or 12 seconds, I already know all the characters. I don't have to go, where's the S key? Where's the V key? Like I do with the Handex, because it's a new keyboard. It's a completely new keyboard. It's not like other keyboards. There's a whole bunch of, it's mobile. You can carry it in one hand. Many advantages, but you have to relearn all the keys. So this tool here is super awesome for relearning all the keys. I'm going to reset the bottom ones and recordify, I think. I guess that resets it up here. Okay, so I go like that. So, but then I said, okay, I got to memorize them. Well, how am I going to memorize them? Because really, as I type this, I am not memorizing the keys. I like to think I am, you know, because I look up here and I say, okay, it's a P. Remember that was a P that you just, or that you're just about to type. But I'm not memorizing the keys. You know, it wasn't working because I wasn't testing my memorization of the keys. I would just go, okay, type what it shows in the glyph, and then think to yourself, that was an I. That's all I could do. That was an I. And then I'd come back and I'd have to read the glyph again next time I typed this out. So I wasn't testing myself. Testing is important, self-testing. And so because I was not testing, I was not memorizing. I wasn't testing my memory. And testing is just hugely important. I can't explain the level of importance. Basically, you got to go, okay, what is it? Try it without looking at the thing. Okay, look at the thing. And so testing doesn't have to be tough. It doesn't have to be annoying. It doesn't have to be punishing or discipline or bad feelings, because that'll happen anyway. It'll happen. As nice as you make the testing, you're going to frustrate yourself a lot, but you want the frustration to only be one thing, the fact that you didn't already know. That's it. You want only that to be the frustration. Just that. You want to isolate that out as the only frustration that you run into with testing. Then you want to test often, you know, over and over and over and over. So I did that. I built in this test mode button, and this thing is just awesome because now I'm testing with, I don't have the glyphs on the top or the bottom, and I just have to do it with memory. So let me give this a demo try right now, and we'll see how this goes. It's not impressive. I'm going to take some pressure off myself as I'm about to test live, but I think I started at like 300 seconds on this, and I pretty quickly got it down to about 250 seconds, and you know, 200 seconds. But now I've memorized all the keys, and I can go into Vim and I could type, and I've actually created some tweets without looking at the glyphs, and I've memorized the ABC, all the, you know, the characters, and most of the numbers, maybe all of the digits, and some of their uppercase components. So let me try this real quick live. So here's a live test. It's got a timer, and it's going to tell me how many times I screwed up. I'm going to screw up on purpose. Maybe I'll do it on this first one because I want to show you what it does. I typed the wrong thing, and look what it does. And then, so it shows me the key. So this is super awesome. For testing, you don't need punishment. You don't need to wait 30 seconds or anything. You just need to try it and then see what you got wrong. And you want to go through that loop, what I just said there. Try it, see what you got wrong. You want that loop to be super short, super tight, so you can do it super often, like 1,000,000 times, or some large number, let's say. Because that's, real life. That's how it's going to be in real life. You're going to try the thing. It's going to fail a little bit. You want to know right away and correct right away. And so that's what this does. When you go backspace, it removes the glyph. Now you got to try it again. Now, what did you memorize? And I typed the wrong one again because I'm talking. I sort of planned. But let's see. And so the errors only count if I continue. They reset if I go back to the beginning. So usually I don't get the first character wrong. But so let me try it now, and then I'll describe what I did a little bit more. Okay, so I'll just type because talk while I'm typing, because it makes me nervous to be recording without any talking. So this is embarrassingly, it's probably because I'm talking a little bit, but it's kind of interesting. Like, I sort of feel like I can talk a little and type at the same time. Maybe I shouldn't keep trying to do that, though. I should focus. Okay. Okay, 76 seconds. So, but I have gotten this down into the low 60s. I think I might have edged even into the 50s a little bit ago. But so a couple of obvious things. So I was able to type with the glyphs at 38 seconds. So this doesn't really have anything to do with the keyboard. This has to do with me memorizing these characters. And man, I really wanted this to be a short video, but it's not going to be short. I still have to explain a couple of things here. So I can tell in my mind that I am that I haven't memorized it. Okay, so here's the process. So when I'm typing, I literally have to think, okay, I got to type in S. What's the S? Okay, it's Shift S. So it's this and that. Okay, what's P? I get P and A mixed up because they involve the same thing. I get some of these, like H and I, get mixed up. And I have to think to myself, what is it? N is the opposite of C. X is an interesting one. Okay. But it really is, my talking does not help. Let's see. I'm seriously thinking, what the heck is X again? So I definitely have to look it up in a queue in my brain. Literally, there's a little queue. And the thing is, what I've noticed, even with 26 characters, my lookup queue is not 26 characters long. I must have a long memory lookup queue and a short memory lookup queue, because every time I'm working with L, or I type something with a bunch of L's, L comes back to me really quickly, and U falls out of the queue, or V falls out of the queue. And then I have to go, what's V again? And it's tough. And my brain, I can literally feel myself having to go back to long-term memory, or long-term some kind of explanation of the character. Oh, V is the opposite of this, and it involves these characters. It's like an explanation. Whereas L, may have gotten condensed down to something simpler in my mind. I don't have to look up space very much, although I do still get it wrong. I press the wrong part of my thumb to get the character, even though that's never changed. But so there are two different queues. My point of mentioning that is, the only way I'm going to get through this is with a lot of practice, because I can tell that I'm not going to be able to type like I type with my regular fingers by looking up the characters in the long-term queue. I'm not going to be able to do it by interpreting the glyphs. I have to use the glyphs And my long-term cue, in order to habituate or automatize these characters into my, what is sometimes called muscle memory, or those types of things, where it becomes, where it is habituated, automatized, turned into more of a reflex, and until it becomes, the old term for this is second nature. So that's going to, I'm literally feeling, and I've read, there's some great books on this, a book called Peak, The New Science of Expertise, and the other one that is really good is the Talent Code. The Talent Code. And it's all about how learning and training and becoming an expert or becoming talented is actually about this little process of many, many, many looping repeats in order to habituate. But that is the whole point of the Handex, because it is shaped around my hand. The purpose of it is to be, I can't do the, let me see if I can try this here. So I can do two. Well, here it is. The purpose of it is that I can type without I want that on the top and the bottom. Okay, go like that. So the purpose is that I can type without moving my hand. And now, okay. So I can type without ever moving my hand. So there's 70 seconds. Definitely could be speedier, but the point is that this will become habituated. You could see that my hand wasn't repositioning itself on the keyboard. I think that was a valid demo that I just did. My hand never repositioned. So the idea is you're going to have this in your hand. Your hand is going to fit to it, and it's going to know where everything is. There's not going to be any involvement of other body parts like your eyeballs or your other hand. There won't be any coordination between distant body parts. It will all be coordination between the narrow body part, the same body part, the short loop the original coordination, which is the coordination of opposing and indexable fingers on a hand, where you can grip and ungrip and clasp and snap your fingers and oppose your thumb and stuff like that. That's a very tight loop. And so hopefully the theory behind the development of the Handex is that by making the loop so tight, the habituation will become automatized at a higher level than other types of coordinated, automatized, habituated activities. And, so there will be sort of a positive feedback loop by miniaturization of the feedback loop. And that's the theory. And I, now that I have it, it's taken some while to build it, some time and a long while to build it out and to have this. Now that I have it, that original vision from a few years ago is looking more and more real and more doable and more optimal and more of universal appeal, that this could be something that anybody on the face of the earth could use. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.